There have been rumors floating around BHS that school will be starting later next year. Mr. Sullivan offered some insight into the schematics surrounding a later start to the school day.
So the plans right now, the Middlesex League superintendents of the 12 schools in the Middlesex League last spring issued a joint statement, and they basically all agreed that they're committed to exploring starting high school later.
Why is the school considering such a drastic change? The driving factor is to give students more time to sleep. Studies have shown teenagers need 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. In a school-wide survey, 61% of students said they get between 6 and 7 hours of sleep, and only 8.3% said they get the required 8 hours.
I think I get about 7 or 8 hours of sleep. I get about 6.
There's a quote out there that kids learn better when they're awake, right? And so if you look at the research about teenage adolescence, the way your brains are developing, the way you're wired and your sleep patterns are, it's very difficult for teenagers to get into bed and fall asleep 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock, right, at the earliest. And if you're waking up at the high school level to take a bus at 5 a.m., right, to be at Burlington High School, for example, some kids are coming as early as 6:50. The research that says that's not enough sleep in terms of where your brains are at.
Math teacher Erin Lapsley described how she would be all for the change in start time if it was beneficial towards students' health and productive learning.
I mean, again, if it's really going to help students, then I don't see how us teachers can say, let's not do it because it's going to affect my life.
However, there are cons to starting school later. Moving the day back would clash with after-school activities as well as various sports.
I do sport, so it's important to get sleep, but also it would be hard with scheduling and stuff because everything would have to be moved back.
In Burlington, it wouldn't impact sports too much, but what it will impact is other people who use the field. So youth organizations, that if we're going now an hour later in the afternoon, those younger kids are going an hour later. We're in the good position that we have fields that are lit. So we have varsity field, we have Marshall Simons, and there are other fields around town that have lights at them. A town like Lexington has no lights.
The change in start time could also have effects on transportation, family schedules, and daily commutes.
Yeah, because one of the big issues is transportation.
I feel like it'd be much harder for the parents because usually work starts about 8, so they have to leave an hour early. And if our school doesn't start till 7, till 8, then it would just be complicated for them to get to work and drive us.
I think there's pros and cons to it. I'm for it if it obviously is good for the students and if it's really going to be beneficial, but I just don't know if it's always later, are kids just going to continue to go to sleep later and then they're just in the same predicament that we're already in. So I don't really know. I see pros and cons on both sides.
So, the big question, will BHS start at a later time, and what are the steps towards this change?
Publicly through the school committee, what Dr. Conti is committed to is having a conversation for a year, listening to the stakeholders, getting feedback on how it would positively or negatively impact our community in Burlington, and then bring that back to the league and make a decision about what's best.
With both positive and negative effects, a later start time will bring much change to BHS and hopefully allow students to be more awake during the school day.